GoLocal Live. I'm Josh Fenton, CEO and co-founder. A little bit of news before we go to our friends at Mott and Chace. First and foremost, cases, infections, hospitalizations, and the transmission rate are all up in Rhode Island and up significantly. So time to buckle down as we move towards Thanksgiving. The numbers are leaping and leaping significantly. You can catch up on all the numbers over on GoLocal. Also take a look at Helena Folks' gubernatorial campaign. She's the $100 million corporate executive, formerly the president of CVS and at Hudson's. She is picking up a lot of the former Raimondo people, so take a look at that as well. But let's go to Mott and Chace. Our friends, Jeb Masterson joins us. We love him. We live, we kind of lived through him, the opportunity to live down in Watch Hill, that area of the state. He gets to sell the biggest houses, the most beautiful houses in the Northeast. Jeb, thanks so much for joining us.
Josh, thank you for having us. You're very, very kind there.
Let's start off with a little bit discussion about an article you had sent over, and we've had some discussions about it, about building wealth. And it's an intriguing article, and I think it gets kind of forgotten sometimes about how critical owning real estate is to building wealth, both as individuals, as communities, and even as countries. Talk a little bit about it.
It was interesting, Josh, because that came from McKinsey just did a report on that. The creation of wealth in the last 20 years has basically tripled. And what they did, they took 10 of the larger countries, U.S., Canada, Australia, France, Germany, England, a couple others, and just measured the creation of wealth. They did it sort of like at a corporate spreadsheet. And over the last 20 years, wealth has grown tremendously. And interestingly, 2/3 of that wealth creation has been through real estate, owned by regular people like ourselves, also owned by corporations. But it's all real estate, and it's just the values of that real estate have gone up. Other stuff like investments or intellectual property IP, I mean, that's like 4%. But the main driving factor in the last 20 years has been real estate.
Yeah, I mean, it is remarkable, and unfortunately, it feels more like you're either in or you're out, and
yes,
the barriers are more difficult. I think back to buying my first house, 30 years ago. It was a little tiny disaster of a house. It was on the east side of Providence in the Summit neighborhood, and I mean, it was a disaster, and we paid $87,000, and we had saved the money for the down payment. And, that's almost, is that even possible in any scenario in Rhode Island? That a couple who's 26 and 23 could save the money to pay for the down payment and then win a bid to buy a starter home? I mean, it's almost impossible now.
I totally agree. It's unheard of today unless you're getting help from somewhere else, or you've been really, really, really good at saving, but or impeccable credit. But it's nearly impossible. I mean, everything today, everyone in the real estate market has dealt with multiple clients that have lost out on 5, 6, 7 houses. Unless they're going in super, super clean, no mortgage contingency, no inspection contingency. But I mean, it gets iffy there. And then, mortgages are still not easy to get. I mean, recently I've been dealing with a couple, and they find that the banks today, they're not looking on what other assets you have, or they don't want to own the house anymore. It's not like before 2006, 2008, where they would take your house. They don't want to own the house. That's bad PR for them.
Yeah, it's a really remarkable period. Let's actually jump over to the issue of sort of the dichotomy of a tough buying market coupled with this incredibly, and I've never seen it, competitive rental market.
Yes.
And you're getting into a situation where people could make a lot of money, be middle class, solidly middle class, and literally can't find a place to live right now.
Yeah, no, before we start here, you and I were discussing, I mean, you're paying for an okay place, 2 bedroom, whatever, you're paying $2,000 to $2,600 in rent. Rents are, I mean, they're not available anywhere these days. So you don't have houses that are available. You have the people that are thinking of selling, but they're thinking, okay, where do I go? How can I find another house to buy? Or they think, oh, well, we'll just rent. And then they look into the rental market. There's nothing available anywhere. I mean, if this has been such a shift in migration, out from these, the city environments, because of the pandemic, and there's just not enough housing around, and which also gets back to, zoning rules and stuff, where, a lot of these municipalities have to sort of start loosening up on, they have to start building more, housing.
Yeah, more housing, and I think from a state like Rhode Island, which we appreciate our open spaces and our
Yep.
forest lands and our waterfront, we got to go up. I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
we have to go up. We can't keep building single-family homes on half-acre and one-acre lots. Let's talk about this for a second. We track real estate pretty aggressively here at GoLocal and report on it. Rents in the West End in Providence for a one-bedroom, moderately nice unit is $2,000 to $2,200. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not talking pristine East Side or Newport waterfront for $2,000 a month. We're talking second-tier markets, and if you can get one, that's more than, with interest rates now, more than
Yep.
a mortgage payment and the taxes and the insurance on most houses under $500,000, $400,000 to $500,000.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So if, and getting back to the wealth thing, I mean, you talk about the haves and the have-nots, and I mean, it's the dichotomy of it. I mean, the spread between the majority of the wealth is owned by few and fewer people. And it's also, if you've not been able to get into the housing market, if you're shut out for one reason, you know, bad credit, bad job history, whatever it may be, I mean, you're sort of left further and further behind. I mean, if you then can't find a rental, I mean, where are you going? I mean, you're going further and further and further inland or out of state.
Yeah. Um, let's talk about your market. I mean, you really do have one of the most special
Yep.
places that you get to work in, from, South Kingstown through Narragansett all the way down to Westerly and North Stonington. I mean, they're just endless numbers of remarkable properties, thousands of them that are just beyond people's dreams. Talk about that market, even this late in the season. We're in the middle of November. It doesn't feel like it outside, but we're in the middle of November, headed towards Thanksgiving, and properties are still selling.
Yeah, they're still selling. If Josh, if something comes on the market today and it's priced well, even with a slight premium, but it's not way out there, it'll be gone in 2 days. You'll see now that houses will be listed like on a Thursday, and if it's priced well, they'll say, okay, we want best and final bids by Sunday. That's on the market, several days, and it's gone. And there will most likely be probably up to 5 bids. We had one come on in Westerly recently within the last month in the Watch Hill area, the fire district, and it was priced extremely well in the sense that it's probably underpriced. It was at 125, and it will likely go closer to $2 million. When it does close, it hasn't closed yet, but there were probably 15 bids on it. And it just shows you, I mean, there's pent up demand for it, all around the state. And it's not, I don't think it's just the high end areas, the lower end, or where the normal people live. I mean, you find the same thing where there are houses in the 400s, in the 500s, the 600s. If they're priced well, you have multiple people bidding on it. It's, people have discovered the state. They don't have to go back to where they're living or working before. There's just an influx of people that want to be here. And yeah, I mean, we're very fortunate to be here. So yeah, it's incredible. We had one, go ahead, sorry.
No, please.
We had one come on 3 or 4 days ago, and I was fortunate to be part of it. It came on It was priced well. It was adjacent to the golf course. I had a client who had been missed a few other opportunities. They came in and they said, "Listen, we're just going for it." So they went in with a very aggressive offer, and we were fortunate, and we did get it. But again, it was just timing. I mean, if it had stuck on the market a little longer, there would have been much more activity probably.
I mean, it wasn't long ago that nothing in Charlestown, Rhode Island, went for over $1 million.
Yeah.
And now everything in Charleston, Rhode Island, seems
Yes,
to,
yeah.
seems to go
Especially
for $1 million.
south of Route One. But yeah, it's again, it gets back to what people are enjoying now. They're enjoying their families, they're enjoying the outdoors, they're enjoying the beaches, and that's what we're blessed with here in Rhode Island. But yeah, and so it's supply and demand. And right now, I mean, in the Watch Hill area, there are two houses on the market. I mean, normally
And what
it's
are those? What's the asking price for those two houses?
we have one that's at two six. One is at 2.6, and the other one's kind of a funny one. It's part of a boatyard is 6.5. But other from that, there's nothing on the market.
And,
So when something does come on, it goes.
and what happens with those top tier houses?
It all depends. We've got a lot of top tier houses in the Watch Hill area, but these are old, quote unquote, summer cottages, and a lot of them do need work. And so they will either get torn down or they will try to find, you know, contractors that can come and do the work at this time. And it'll be, a year and a half of renovations. Um, you know, the contractors are doing very well down in the Watch Hill area.
Yeah, I bet, I bet. And is that carrying up, what's happening in the, what we used to call the rural areas? They're less and less so all the time. The Exeters, the Richmonds. What's happening in those communities where, they had
Yeah,
they had 3,000 residents for 100 years, right?
yeah, it's the same thing because everything is pushed back. It's growing and growing and growing, and so you have the areas where for lack of better words, gentrification or whatever. The areas, the people are changing. The people that were there before either they decide to sell because they can't, the carrying costs are too much, or the market is fantastic, so they want to take advantage of it. They want to stay in the area. But you're not going to sell a house for $2 million and then move into another house for $2 million. You want to put some of that away. So then you're moving out a little outside of the zone where the prices start, dropping off some. But Exeter, Richmond, Bradford, same thing. I mean, their prices are going up, up, up.
And where does
Yeah.
this thing go? It's the question I ask every week. If you read about other portions of the country, it does look like prices have begun to stabilize. We also saw that massive sell-off of Zillow
Yes.
selling off
Right.
thousands and thousands of properties that they were de facto home flipping. It
Yes.
turned into a big mess for that company, and the stocks dropped by, I think, about 2/3 or 3/4. Those, it felt like a little early indicator, warning light. I don't want to call it a Lehman Brothers moment, but a little indicator that something was amiss in all of this growth. But in Rhode Island, we're not seeing it. Maybe there's not 15 and 20 offers on every house, but there's still 5 above asking price.
There are, yeah. I mean, really today, I mean, it's kind of strange if something goes below asking price, and I think that then it says that it was not priced correctly. Where does it go? It's definitely, I think, slowing down, but I don't see a pullback. I don't see anyone all of a sudden saying, "Oh, we're not going to Rhode Island." I mean, we've got a lot going for us here, and if you now have the opportunity to live and work anywhere you want, I mean, why not? Why not live and work here? So until we get more houses, I don't see it going down a lot. I really don't. And everyone asks the same question, Josh, and you feel like just a sales guy just saying that, but unless we have, heaven forbid, we have, a terrorist attack or something like that. But otherwise, I mean, the market, I mean, getting back to the McKinsey report, real estate is the one investment that you can make memories in, you can live in, your family's there, and it's doing all right now. And I don't, it's not like 2006, 2008. I mean, mortgages, I mean, they're tight.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, if you want to remind yourself of the quality of life we have and why so many people from out of state are moving here, we've had to go up to the Boston area for healthcare issues, and it's 2 hours on Route 128 in the middle of the day. So,
Yeah.
we curse in Providence the 20-minute exodus out
Yeah.
195 to get to Bristol or Barrington, and we don't really know how good we got it.
Yes, I mean, yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful spot. I mean, where we are, we're surrounded by water on three sides. You got the Pawcatuck River, got Long Island Sound, and Block Island Sound. I mean, you can't beat it. It's
Uh,
nice.
and has there ever been traffic in Westerly? Ever?
Yeah, yes, no, there is. I mean, typically, after Memorial Day, Labor Day, it was kind of for the locals who live there. It was kind of nice. You could pull out on your street. But there's traffic more often now just because of COVID. But there is traffic. But if we're going up and down Route One, I mean that's not bad.
Yeah, yeah. And the Benny's closed, so it's got to be easier
Yes,
now.
yes, yes, yes. We should have a moment of silence for that.
Listen, I want to thank you as always. Appreciate you bringing forward that study. I think it is. We'll link to it in the story when we post your video in this interview, and appreciate you taking the time. Listen, for everybody else, stay tuned. It has been a busy morning. There's been a number of significant crime issues here in Providence overnight and then into the morning. Take a look at those on live. We'll have updates. Also, take a look at some other breaking political news that'll be posted shortly. Listen, everybody, stay safe, get healthy for the Thanksgiving. If you haven't gotten vaccinated, do so. It's going to only do much more to protect you and your family, especially with these numbers going up. And most concerning is the transmission rate. Transmission rate goes up, then we get into hospitalizations and deaths. 5 Rhode Islanders lost their lives, as reported by the Department of Health yesterday. So stay safe, be cognizant of each other, and do everything you can to stay healthy. Thanks, everyone.